Hello and welcome. My name is David and we're talking Sailgp Perth. The Sailgp season starts with Spain not in the competition due to damaging board and hull in the practice. Australia's new team member Ian Jensen, nicknamed Goobs, is also out of the competition due to injury. The weather was great, the race course looked superb. It looked like it was going to be a brilliant event, and that was even before the racing started. In race 1, Bond Flying Rose had a great start, and they were in front of USA and the Swiss. North Star Canada and France split the course. In the second leg, Swiss took attack, and they had the right of way. Black Foils had to give way, but were too late to manoeuvre. And as the Swiss hit, they took the port stern completely off the F50. Unfortunately, this took them both out of the race. At roughly the same time, the Germans had a love tap with the Italians. Fortunately, no damage and no penalty. And as the Aussies cross the finish line and win the race, you can see Black Foils being towed into port. France are second, USA are third, Canada are fourth, and GBR are fifth. In the race interview with Aussie skipper Slingsby, he mentioned coaching from the coach box from Goobs. So he wasn't on the boat, but he was there in spirit. The Black Fours wouldn't compete for the rest of the day, and then we got told the Swiss would also retire. So what with the Spanish DNS, there would only be 10 yachts in the race. In the second race, France had a terrific start from the back of the pack, closely followed by Sweden and Germany. GBR took a tight and short distance to the first mark. The Bond's Flying Rose were last over the line, with France out in front and GBR and Sweden fighting for every metre. At a cross, GBR had to give room for Artemis as they crossed to the opposite side of the course. France won, and Artemis gained ground with a wind shift and took second place. GBR were third. On the fourth leg, USA had a terrific move on Brazil and took fourth overall. Germany fell back a few places and finished seventh, and Australia were eighth. In race 3, France had a terrific start from the back of the pack. This move was pretty impressive. The Shore team's coaches hadn't tried to block it or copy this move, allowing France to continue in this vein all day. At the first mark, France was first, North Star Canada was second, Sweden was third. USA had gained places throughout the race. Helmsman Taylor Canefield was having a great Saturday. France tangled with 9th place Australia and lost first place to Artemis. Artemis, new kids on the block, now look like old hands as they won their first race. USA had come third and North Star Canada came fourth. Dylan Fletcher of Emirates GBR said, "That was a messy one," as they finished seventh. The fourth race. France made their impressive start, but this time the Italians had a cracking start and were first to the mark, with France second and Brazil third. Denmark and Sweden split the course. Radio comms, a yacht asked politely for the helicopter to get out of the way. And I love it when the commentators say, "Sorry about the industrial language." In the upward leg, Sweden take first place. Australia cover a lot of ground and move up into second place. Brazil are in third. On the last leg, Brazil are on the port tack and should give way, but they try to intimidate the Australians instead, but get a 5-second penalty for trouble. Our new kids on the block, Sweden, get 9th in their first race, second in the next, and 2 first places. Pretty impressive. France and USA have consistent days and score good points. So all 3 teams are evens at 31 points of day 1 of the tournament. Artemis set the fastest speed at 84.63 kilometres an hour. In sailor terms, 45.6 knots. Pretty quick. Black Foil's F-50's damage isn't repairable in the time available, so they will miss the rest of the event. And add to their misery, they receive a 7-point penalty for causing a collision. Looking back at Saturday's racing, there are some new teams in the mix for the 2026 season. Sunday's weather looked great. The sea state was a bit choppier, but it looked good for the day's racing. Good news, the Swiss were back. In race 5, Denmark and Italy had a great start and led the fleet away. GBR were looking for a gap and were in a fight with Canada and Sweden. Italy and Denmark used the top gate. GBR and France used the bottom gate. Bond's Flying Ruse took a few spots and were in 4th. GBR were gaining on Italy on the 5th leg and had the right of way. Italy had to duck behind. GBR covered more ground and took the lead on the 5th gate, and they carried this momentum through to the finish line and won the race. Italy came second, and it was between France, Australia and Denmark who would take third. Australia just crossed the line for 3rd place. In race 6, France, Australia and Canada had a great start, and they sped away at 90 kilometres an hour. At the first gate, the fleet got very compressed, and GBR decided to split away, and this looked like a good move. In leg 3, GBR cut in front of the Australians, and that kept a good tactical advantage. France and GBR were in a tussle for the win, and it could go either way. Australia were in 3rd, and Sweden had just got a boundary penalty. France, they made a little mistake, and GBR did thanks very much and took the win. Australia were 3rd, Sweden were 4th. USA were at 8th. In race 7, GBR had a boundary penalty. Artemis didn't prepare very well and had a bad start. Canada had a flyer and were out in front. Australia was 2nd and the Swiss were 3rd. GBR in the 3rd leg crossed in front of Germany and Italy, who had to give way. Germany made the gate, but Italy had to make a more aggressive move and kangarooed their F-50. Spectacular for the camera, but for the Sailgp tech team, I bet they had their eyes shut. Canada won the race. France came 2nd and qualified for their first final. Australia were 3rd and GBR were 4th. Artemis and USA had a great Saturday and should be proud, but unfortunately Sunday just wasn't their day. In the final was Emirates GBR, the Bond's Flying Ruse, and first time for France. In the first 40 seconds, Australia got a boundary penalty, so not a good start. But GBR managed to win the season final with the same penalty, so not a catastrophe either. Emirates GBR and France were neck and neck going to the first mark, but GBR had the controlling position as they had the inside line. France split away halfway on leg 2. Australia followed GBR, hoping for them to make a mistake. France covered Australia on the 3rd leg, but on the turn they slowed down and had to give Australia some room. So for this, they got a penalty. Emirates GBR were fast at 89 kilometres an hour and won in 9 minutes. Australia and France made a run for the line, and Australia just took second place, with France third. So congratulations to Emirates GBR for a fantastic win and a great recovery by both GBR and Australia, which enabled them to be in the final. France ultimately were outsailed on the day. With New Zealand and Spain being knocked out of the race, will Artemis and the USA and France fare so well in the next Grand Prix in Auckland on the 14th and 15th of February? See you in the next video. Hang on. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please push the like button. Thank you very much. Goodbye for now.